Hi everyone, welcome to Everything Websites. And today I have Evgenii joining me. And so a little bit about him. Evgenii, you work with startups that get a lot of attention. Some of them maybe even more than that. And some go viral, some go, the founder-led brands with big audiences. But you often said that traffic without structure is just noise. So before we go into all of that, can you give me a bit about your background? I think it's best if you just say a bit about yourself, about your experience with analytics, click-through rate, webflow in general, and how did you get to this focus on the high publicity brands, if I can say like that?
First of all, thanks a lot for having me, Stefan. It's great being here. And my name is Evgenii, and I'm founder of Tilipman Digital. Now, there are two parts. I have the long story. I have the short story. Long story is giving more of like general background. Like, I think that this would be more valuable. So I'm going to go with that and we can cut it down later on.
Yeah.
So first of all, I'm a finance bro. Or at least that's how I used to call myself when I was going to university. I was in finance major or business administration with emphasis in finance.
Mm-hmm.
And my first work was in PwC as an auditor and a financial consultant.
Mm.
Now that completely changed. One of the first jobs that I got after I left PwC and decided that I wanted to pursue something that I actually want to enjoy doing. I started designing and developing, and I got my first job within an agency called Vanity Digital. And within some short period of time, I got to the position of web lead. Now that means that I was managing the team, which was appropriate with my background. I knew the business side. I appreciated the business side. I always enjoyed talking to the marketers, to the founders. I was decent at communication and I was a very technical person. So I changed from designing to development and pursue a development career. So kind of very code oriented. And that's at the time before even FinSuite attributes came along. So we had to code out the filtration and all of those systems.
It was a tough time.
That was a tough time. Now things are different. Now it's a lot easier to get into Webflow. But yes, we worked with Webflow, and I guess my experience now comes to around 4 years, I want to say. Someone may correct me. Maybe it was less, but this is my head. It's around
total
for the industry. For the industry.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
please go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm just gonna continue later.
Sure. So at one point I left Vesa Digital and joined MemberStack. So now I worked in a product that is very closely tied to Webflow. It is probably MemberStack, Outset, and Wiz are the three top biggest products for Webflow. So it was cool that I had to work in one of them. Got a lot of different types of knowledge. And at the same time, I was starting out the business. The business was not going great, but it was kind of like a side hustle. Eventually, the contract expired with MemberStack and I pursued the business full time. Now, I cannot really say that I have a background in analytics. I have a background in business. So all the decisions were business oriented and just required common sense. You're creating some sort of hypothesis, and then you are testing those hypotheses, be it business decisions. For example, when I was in MemberStack, we were developing templates, kind of business templates. So for example, product date service template was product that we created based on Flowout's business model. So it was a product date service. So meaning that anyone can create a systemized way of running an agency. For example, you don't want to talk to your clients. You have clear pricing structure. You have good systems such as a dashboard where people can post tasks, comment on tasks, ask for revisions, and so on and so forth. So everything from that standpoint, it was creating a hypothesis, building out the platform fast. So creating an MVP, testing whether or not it works well. If it works well, you're looking at the things that can be improved. For example, you create another hypothesis, things that are not being used well or things that are still buggy. You're improving upon those. And then over time, you're iterating upon your newly acquired hypothesis. So where does analytics come in? Analytics comes in only through the use of PostHub and Microsoft Clarity to get the most basic overview of, let's say, the product or the business of the
Yeah.
marketing website, whatever. But as Google Analytics, never really went in depth into that.
Yeah, but it's very interesting that you came from the finance background. People usually got from, I don't know, design or development background. I think it's a pretty good advantage, especially because you run your own agency. So it's pretty good knowledge to have to start with, because that's what people usually most struggle of, with.
It sure is, but then again, this is a pretty basic thing. To be honest, there is very basic mathematics involved,
Mm-hmm.
and some things are just requiring common sense. I mean, for example, a business degree, it's 4 years of university, but on the other hand, you can speed things up. For example, you see that book right behind me? Give me a second.
Oh, I don't see actually, because it's my vision is narrowed here. Oh yeah, I see it.
The Personal MBA by Josh Kaufman. Clearly a Jewish and a very seasoned founder.
Yeah.
And it's literally kind of a Bible. Whenever I need something to help me out in terms of business decisions, I take a look, I open up the page that is talking about those types of business operations and just tailor my ideas towards that.
That's pretty good. I usually don't have something like that. I just go around, research, maybe even ask chat with some people. I like to see the experience from other people. I mean, it's good to have like a book, but I always try to, just wingle around.
Oh, definitely. And one thing that I found interesting now that there is our best friend ChatGPT, we can call him Baba.
Yeah.
Now that we have our good friend Baba can summarize all the ideas.
Yeah.
So people are great. It's always good to have access to people who have gone through the same business stages that you're going through.
Mm.
But sometimes, like me, I do not have access to those people. So one thing that I have found wisdom in is books. And I haven't read the full book, I think, in a couple years now. I'm just like starting to read whatever I need. And once the utility is ended, I discard it.
Most of the people didn't also have anyone to mentor them through the process. And I think, yeah, that's pretty good, because that's what makes you, work harder in order to achieve results, or on your own mistakes, which is not always the best, but to learn them on someone else's. But it's good. I think that's how most of the successful people are coming. And yeah, let's get back to the website a little bit.
Back on track.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to talk about this myth of publicity-driven growth just a little bit. So to start with, for example, when a company gets visibility, like a TechCrunch article, or maybe on some different sort of visibility, like a bigger one, or go through like a viral launch, or whatever, like something big. Well, what do you say that can be a liability and not an asset in that sense?
Sure. Well, first of all, for example, there is a big marketing campaign going on in order to attract traffic. Now, marketing is divided into a lot of areas, but for websites specifically, I want to say there are two parts: bringing in the traffic and building out the funnels.
Mm-hmm.
That's as much as that goes. So if you're bringing in the traffic, the biggest downfall and liability can be if you're lacking funnels. So, for example, people come onto your site and they're just there for the content. You have no way to capture their emails. You have no way to you have no way to know that they have been to your website except the analytics giving you some vanity metrics. Hey, you
Yeah.
have
Google Analytics.
20,000 people
Yeah.
going to your site. Great, but why is no one buying? Well, because most people are landing onto the top of the funnel pages or onto your homepage, which is your branded page, meaning that you have a good and strong brand presence. But it doesn't mean that people are landing onto your bottom of the funnel pages where they're actually converting. It doesn't mean that they are landing on in your middle of the funnel pages where you're actually trying to narrow them down, like warm them up for the purchase. So
Yeah.
you really do have to think about your website as a big funnel, right? People are
Sales.
coming in, some are dropping out, but ideally you want to have multiple layers of collecting information about the person so you can kind of retarget them later in a newsletter or some other type of effort, and just like make sure that you are fresh in your mind at, well, not at
Mhm.
all times. You don't want to be spammy, but in general it's a good thing to do.
Yeah, that's why you always need to have this target audience, or how they call it, like ICP, like ideal client profile. Otherwise, you're just shooting blanks, getting random people on the website, doing nothing. You don't have funnels, like you said, you don't have sales, so that's a problem. But do you have any example, maybe, of a company that had traffic but didn't convert well, and how
I
that goes?
have, but I cannot say
Oh,
it in the podcast.
um,
Uh,
maybe, yeah, okay. I thought maybe you can just maybe made out some some example of what
I
would
can
be.
make up the example, and the example is a company that went viral, and I'm sure that there are quite a few people that know about the company.
Hmm.
Uh, One thing that happened was they were lacking a lot of parts of the funnel, so they had a homepage
Okay.
and they had blogs. That's it. They were selling to enterprise, or they are selling to enterprise, but they had no use case pages. They had close
And
to nothing.
they went viral because on their website or like social media? Huh?
No, they went viral full stop everywhere.
Oh wow.
They raised a lot of capital. They heavily invested in marketing, and the marketing they invested in was for the attraction, but not for conversion.
Hmm.
And don't get me wrong, the chief of growth is an amazingly competent person. One thing that I felt was lacking was the way in which people are kind of trying to
Maybe like a lack of
you
focus.
make the most utility out of their target audience.
Uh-huh.
Because at the end of the day, they could have as well collected more information. They at the very least they could have made a better brand connection. And I think that brand connection is something that generally brands should start with.
Yeah. And would you say like that is the most common mistake that people do, or is something else that because of that doesn't convert well?
I'm not sure what the biggest
I mean,
mistake is, honestly, because there are
yeah.
very different scenarios and people with them very different backgrounds. I generally see two things happen. This is one of them.
Hmm.
Second thing is companies that aren't really, they have not gone viral yet, or they are just in the process of raising capital, but they are, instead of focusing on attracting visitors and attracting like more eyeballs so that it's easier to sell for the raising capital. Instead of focusing on that, they're doing a lot in terms of conversion focus, but they have no visitors. And I always say 1% of 1,000 is better than 10% of 100.
Yeah.
So
I really had a lot of in the past requests that people coming like, okay, so we want to increase our conversion rate. So let's do like a checklist, do all of this stuff, and then conversion rate would happen. What do you think? Why people think that this is the way to go and the way to do things?
There are a lot of people, after talking to my friend Luke, who just created his own startup, but he has his own agency as well.
Mm-hmm.
But he went to kind of raise capital to Cyprus a couple
Mm-hmm.
months back.
Mm-hmm.
He said that he and his co-founder were presenting their startup, and the product was shit compared to their like other people there who tried to present their product and raise capital,
Yeah.
and they were the only ones who raised capital. He explained it to me in the following way: a lot of founders these days have technical backgrounds and have great product, but none of them know how to sell their product.
Yeah, that's true.
Their pitch was focused around, hey, our product at the moment is shit. We're getting better at. Is this a good thing to say? I don't know if we can swear at the podcast or not, but
Yeah, I mean, don't
you can
overreact,
believe
but
you can
don't
believe.
overuse it. But you
Yeah.
can. No, you can.
So they said their product is beep, pretty
Yeah.
bad, but at least they really do know how to sell it and how to market it, and they are sure that they will have a lot of traction. And they explained their whole pitch was focused around that. So I want to say that it's better to be from that standpoint than to come from the standpoint of, hey, we have a great product and expect the product will sell itself, because it won't. You do need marketing.
I wanna also connect to that thing that you said. For example, this company that has like that went viral, but didn't have a lot of conversion. I mean, what do you do in that situation? How you fix that?
Well,
If you
if
go
you have
viral
just
but no conversion.
well, couple of things. Unfortunately, you don't. For
Yeah.
couple of reasons. There are times when you can, but there are times when you cannot.
Okay.
When you cannot, you just raise capital. You just say here, we have serious ABCDEFG
Mhm.
announcement. You just got the announcement. Couple of weeks, you're gonna get mad traffic.
Mm-hmm.
If you are not converting on that traffic, you lost out for one reason. That traffic is not coming back.
You spend the
Those
money.
announcements came from a lot of new news outlets, and those news outlets are not going to keep reposting things.
Yeah.
They're just not. So if you're not converted to that, and if you have not converted that traffic, you need to invest a lot of money into other marketing campaigns to bring in new traffic while at the same time focusing on your funnel. Now, the way times when you can fix it is when you just go viral like this company. They were everywhere. IG, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, they were everywhere. They have huge traffic. I think now they are about to move into enterprise plan just for the bandwidth issues reason
Mm-hmm.
in my flow. But the only way to fix that is to create more and different kind of pages, middle of the funnel, create some sort of newsletter, create email capture, just try to get a hold of tangible data that you can later on use in your marketing efforts to convert people.
Yeah. I know that people do a lot of testing as well, especially the A/B testing, which is quite popular nowadays. Most likely because it's the cheapest version of testing, and provides pretty good results. But what do you think of people that do this kind of testing just for the sake of testing? And how to stop and how to not stop it, but how to repurpose that into something more usable, to have more usable testings that you can actually. I mean, is the A/B testing the only way that you can do this?
There are different type of tests. Split testing and A/B testing are the most popular because you're literally testing one parameter within the page against another. So does
Yeah.
this type of headline perform better than this? Does this type of hero section perform better than this? How do you prevent this from happening? Well, first of all, common sense. Common sense. I mean,
Well, not
for
always an option.
example, not always an option, but if you just want to be saying that you're data driven for the sake of being data driven, why not? I mean, it's your money on the table. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, there are a couple of things. If you're just pointlessly spending money, you're spending money. You're not earning it. There is a lot of money being thrown out on CRO agencies. I know that for sure. But if they're good and if they're actually bringing in results, then that's great. For example, one of our clients had a scenario where they were testing the design of one hero section against another on their homepage. And this is a huge brand as well. That's you probably know it, but once again, I cannot
Yeah, that's
say which one it is. But they decided to, after spending a couple months testing, or not even a couple months, but a couple of weeks, because you need to get like at least 10,000 visits per version to get a statistically significant result. And they got a statistically significant result for the simpler version on the hero section. Guess what? They decided for the most complex and more design-oriented version. And there are benefits and there are drawbacks. Now, the drawback was actually their conversion rate. The benefit was, well, it was more brand focused. So it may have brand value, and they have opted in for, let's say, that long-term growth and recognizability of the brand over conversion,
yeah,
which is also something that people may want to do depending on their salary and depending on their values. Now, that for company values high quality design, and they value brand recognition more than they just value money, which is respectable.
yeah. Okay. I mean, I agree about the brand, but that's something that takes some time to grow and to build. But for example, I know it's a long process and we don't have like 2 hours to talk about it. But if you do need to set up some company from start uh, for this kind of business that we're talking about, what would you do? I mean, how would you do it? Uh, in like a few steps, not like in too much detail.
Well, look, if you're starting with absolutely nothing,
Yeah, like
I would if I have an idea, let's say I already have idea, I generate an idea and I feel like it's a good idea after talking to some of my friends and family or whatever people are within the industry. What I would do is I would create a landing page. I would set up a BBC campaign. I would try to collect emails for waitlist. And if the expectations that are met, I would hire one or two engineers to build up the product, the MVP version, to get access to the people. And the access would be for free. No gatekeeping, no nothing. For the first half a year. And those people would probably get like maybe lifetime plans, maybe not, depending on the product. But that way you can get a lot of backlinks, you can get a lot of traction. And if you're not gatekeeping, people are not getting angry. And you would also do a lot of, let's say, posts on Discord and different type of forums within those specific targeted communities.
Yeah.
So I would first focus on getting email lists set up, getting traction for the website. And then within some period of time, be it 6 months, be it 3 months, be it 1 year, doesn't matter, I would look to monetize, but only as soon as I have received a lot of traction. Because I think that it's more important to get, first of all, your idea tested. Your idea tested. Second of all, some traction so that the idea is not dying out just within this email list. And then once you have those two, you can like actually do proper business.
And how do you go from that traction to growth?
To hiring people.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have already
easy.
monetized, no, I mean, if you have already monetized, right? If you have your email list, if you have created attraction, and now you have your products or MVP working, and you have created some plans, you have a Stripe link, if you have an US LLC or any type of business that's not based in Serbia, because you cannot have a Stripe link here.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So once the payments are coming in, you have a better understanding of the numbers. If you have understanding of the numbers, you then know your next steps. Can you hire? Can you outsource? What are the things that you would need first in order to increase those numbers? And clearly, that's a stressful period. But if you're over that period, it's becoming a lot easier to both hire and grow.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in theory, all sounds great, but as you know, in like in real life, it's always some complications and something happens that doesn't make it that easy. But yeah. Okay. So I wanna, because we are getting close to the 30-minute mark. I just want to ask you, I mean, what are you focusing on today? How is your work really different from your previous, and how do you manage your own agency growth and conversion?
You know that
A lot of
moment
questions.
when you do not practice what you preach.
Yeah,
Well, I
I
started
really know that.
practicing what I preach. So, for example, we have great case studies. Like we have
Mhm.
big clients, but we are a very small team. We are 4 people. It's a very small operation, and the website is absolutely lifeless. CRO is pretty bad. Most of our conversions are coming from referrals and case studies, actually, which thankfully.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of things. The brand is lifeless. We're not showing nearly enough faces. It's difficult to relate to the brand. There is no brand value. We are doing a complete rebrand and we are starting from scratch. So in a couple months' time, we are going to fully revamp our website.
Nice.
And we have been focusing on SEO, but we have not been focusing on CRO. So I want to go through the whole from scratch period of time. I want to rebrand, revamp the site, create some sort of funnels, more of them. And I would distribute the funnels across all of our blog posts as well to simply capture emails, set up a newsletter that would actually just be trying to provide value, nothing conversional. And we are then continuing with SEO efforts. And I feel that when the brand value is in place, it's going to go a lot smoother. But right now, our brand is a mess. It's like get different pieces and try to glue them together. And now we are approaching our own business as if we are approaching someone else's business,
Yeah.
methodical, one step at a time, and then building brick by brick.
Yeah, I was in the same situation really before. And would be nice if we can catch up like end of the year or maybe next year to see how much you progressed, from this point to.
Oh, I'll be happy to, man.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And I hope people can find your website, your content, and follow up because I think you're providing really good stuff on LinkedIn as well. So yeah, if you guys like Webflow and business talks, please follow Evgeny. He's has pretty good stuff. Um, in the end, just have a few more questions. If you're starting, actually, you said that if you were starting again, what? Actually, no, you said that about a different business. But if you are starting again, what would you change today? Did you change something when you
I
started?
have some sort of I don't think it's a middle age crisis. I think it's more like a
How old are
career
you?
development crisis. I'm 27.
It's not a
So
midlife crisis.
it's
Come on.
not middle age. I think it's a career development crisis. Sometimes I'm thinking if I had to start over the company, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
Agency development is very difficult, requires
Yeah.
a lot of money to be placed into it. Competition is brutal. I have a wife. The relationship is honestly, it's taking a toll. We're
Yeah.
not spending enough time to it's difficult as when you're starting out, especially the agency, you need your work-life balance. One thing that I'm a big believer in is hard work. So there are a lot of freelancers that are trying to start an agency with less than a year within the industry. And here is the harsh truth. I think they're going to fail.
Yeah.
I think they're going to fail because, first of all, you do not know how the industry operates. You do not have access to high quality people within the industry, and not just people like you and I who are founders, but also your target audience, the marketers, the
It takes
founders, the
years of
co-founders.
work.
Yeah, and this business is built strictly on relationships.
Yeah.
So my philosophy is go work for a couple of years into, I don't know, an agency or some sort of business where you have a very high volume of
Hmm.
tasks where you're going to learn the craft very well, but the firm must be well known for that specific service. Once you're good with that service, now you have your offering. Now you need to develop your people skills. If you're in the senior or leadership position now, try to spend some time in there and just try to learn how to understand people and their needs. Listen first and learn to be a good listener and build
It's very good skill.
connections. Once you have some good connections, you may be barely good enough to start your own.
Yeah, but I might gonna disagree with you one point, and that is, I think if you want to be successful in pretty much anything, you really need to go all in. You need to invest all of your time, and takes a lot of hard work. So it's just a matter of, like you said, work-life balance. You just need to know that from the start, and just to try to organize your life a bit different, because whatever you do, if you really want to be good, it's gonna take all of you. So
No, of
that's
course,
my experience.
of course. And that's why, for example, if you're starting from scratch, if you haven't worked anywhere and you're starting your own thing,
Yeah,
all
yeah, I
in
don't
is not
think
going to be
yeah,
enough. I
yeah,
think you're right about all in, and it doesn't matter which stage you're at, but it's also about capacity. As a human and employee and a worker and a founder and whatever, your capacity right now, I'm pretty sure, is a lot higher than it was 10 years ago.
yeah, of
And
course.
right now, the lowest level of your capacity is a lot higher than your highest level of capacity 10 years ago.
Yeah,
So there are layers and there are levels to this as well.
wise words. For the end, actually, I have one more question, and then we can wrap up. Uh, do you? I mean, there's a lot of new tools, AI, getting progress. Do you think that all this stuff are getting better or worse? The tools, I mean, did they make us better?
Marketing is changing. MQLs are changing. Marketing qualified leads, they're getting more difficult.
Hmm.
Analytics tools are getting better. All the tools are getting better. People are getting better at avoiding being part of someone else's analytics.
That's true.
So it's the tools are absolutely amazing. Everything depends on, first of all, going back to the basics, how good you are with the basics and common sense once again.
Yeah,
Um, but there is a lot of noise, like so many cool new tools coming out, and everyone, especially in LinkedIn, is saying this is a game changer. This is
yeah, yeah.
this
This
is
is
this,
AI
this is
talking.
that. And my thought is, whenever I see that post, and I'm thinking, brother, if everything is important, nothing is important. And then I
Yeah.
set it away and I just continue doing Optibase and a couple of analytics tools that we're using. Just if you have a good tool that is working out well for you, you don't need absolutely anything else.
Yeah, that's true.
However, sometimes there are golden new nuggets coming out. So it's
Mhm.
still good to have an eye out.
No, we need to
But
experiment all the time.
yes, but I think an hour a week of experimentation with just one tool is more than enough time
Yeah,
for you to just figure out where the market is moving.
I agree. I know that a lot of people are like, "Oh no, use Notion for this, or use this, use that." In the end, really, what works for me best is a spreadsheet, like a basic like Excel file format, and I manage to find everything that I need there, than using all of these fancy tools, or even that. Yeah, just writing it down. Good old fashioned stuff. Maybe
Good
the
old
new
fashioned
kids are gonna,
stuff.
yeah, these young guns not gonna like that, but
No, but
it's the
jokes
best.
aside, I use Notion for some things. And once again, every single tool that's made for a specific thing is gonna work for that specific thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't need to
not
think too
for
much
everything.
about it. It's like, as a man, you're not going to go to your closet and spend 3 hours picking the right t-shirt to wear.
Yeah.
It's a t-shirt. Wear it. It doesn't matter.
In the end, you also need to think about that all these tools, they have premium options that you need to pay for. So if you pay for all of them to use them fully, you're just gonna be broke in the end. So you just need to be wise of what you're choosing.
Of
To
course.
wrap it up, um, yeah, should I ask that? Yeah, no. to wrap it up, for someone that's just getting into data-driven growth, where should they start?
I want to say common sense. Go back to the basics. Figure out what's important to the business bottom line and re-engineer from there. So for example, you're seeing all these comprehensive businesses and you see some funnels working so great. Go into that funnel, take a look at exactly how it works, go through all the stages and then re-engineer that. And I think that this is the same for all aspects of digital part of the business. SEO, funnels, conversions, the brand, everything. And just keep asking yourself questions and ask someone else questions and be open-minded.
Keep asking questions and listening to key main things.
Yeah.
In actually anything. Okay. Where people can follow you, find more about your work, all this stuff.
Sure. So we have a website, https://www.tilipmandigital.com. That's www. No, I'm kidding. But you can connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Evgenii Tilipman, EVGENIITILIPMAN.
That's a good spelling.
Thank you. Thank you. I practice that a lot in front of the mirror.
Yeah, me too.
I'm mostly using LinkedIn for anything profession related. A lot of people after Flow Ninjas conference added me on Instagram, and then a lot of people unfollowed just because they realized that my IG is for shits and giggles.
I told them the same. I'm not active on Instagram. Oh, no, never mind. Just give me your Instagram.
Yeah, but it's fine. But the Instagram is for mainly jokes. If you see captions,
Yeah.
like every single caption is a joke. But you can find me for the same thing. Just type in my name and you'll be able to find me. And yeah,
Google it in the end.
Hope that some of you found this podcast interesting. And if you have any questions related to what we talked, if you are trying to go deeper into the topic or have like some questions that will break down specific concepts even further, feel free to reach out. And I'm a friendly guy. I don't bite.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you everyone if you stick to the end. Thank you for that. This could be much longer conversation. There's so many things we could have talked about, and we did wander off a few times. I apologize about that. So anyway, until the next time, take care and see you next time. Bye.
Cheers.
Thanks. Yeah. Thanks, Evgenii, for being a guest on this podcast. I almost forgot about that. Okay.
Happy to be here.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.